So let me add one more interesting example when it says government, correct? As the government of India, we love UPI, correct? It's a monopoly.
It's a monopoly. Yeah.
Government created a platform as a monopoly. That's it. Nobody can actually go any other platform in India other than that, correct? Which government created a monopoly.
Just correct. With MasterCard and Visa, like your credit debit cards are no longer, no one uses debit cards anymore. People still may use credit cards, but nowadays you can even load your money to your UPI accounts.
UPI account.
So only in this UPI one, government did create a monopoly, but they did put a condition that a single player cannot have more than 30% market share. So when GPay,
So the DPI was designed with a construct of creating competition, right? So it's not designed with a construct of creating a monopoly. Now, there might have been
Different
players.
here. Sorry, the point is different. There is a GPay, there is a Paytm. All these companies are using a platform which is a monopoly. Can anybody create a platform like this?
I don't think that's the right way to look at it, because
What is the purpose of DPI? Can you create your own ecosystem for creating something like this? Absolutely. But what the government has done is they have said, look, I am enabling a trust in the system which will ensure authentication, right? Verification and completeness of transaction, right? And will be backed by an infrastructure that we are supporting.
Whatever they did is right. What we are talking about is a monopoly.
Yeah.
That's a monopoly for a right reason. Is it benefiting customer? Is it benefiting a larger economy? It is.
No, but it is a monopoly only when a government stops somebody else from doing it, right? Which is not the case.
No, but
In
if you
India,
look at,
actually,
right,
that is
so
not the case.
all the different payment gateways or different types of payment methods, be it your debit cards or your credit cards or other different wallets, no one compete with UPI. UPI is nothing but a means to pay someone to other party. So when we look at that, UPI have become a monopoly.
The UPI was created to disrupt the MasterCard, Visa card game.
it is not stopping you from creating. If someone has a funds and the time and bandwidth to create a UPI private version, government is not stopping. Whether that will be accepted or not is a different story. And to avoid that kind of a competition, government said, okay, anybody can come and use it, but they are putting a restriction. GPay, for example, doesn't become a monopoly on UPI. So tomorrow GPay says that I will stop my service or I will not listen to you, then they are in trouble. So that's why they put that 30% as a limitation.
The example is WhatsApp, right? If you look at, just to correlate, right, in India.
Okay, so the whole discussion is not to evaluate why is monopoly good for people or not, or society. It is to look at from a business perspective, right? And being a CXO of a firm, creating such firm which dominates the industry is not so easy, right? It comes with a lot of challenges. As we say that dominance here means they become a category by themselves, right? For example, selling a product today without a platform is difficult, and that platform has to be only Amazon, right? That's what has become. And if it is a search engine, we started saying that let's Google it, which means we are using Google as a equivalent of a term called search. So in different industries, there are people who are dominating and they have become a category on their own, right? So one, we all discussed that it could be because they are having a edge of innovation and they are able to get that outlook, and therefore they dominate the industry, right? Even though some of them getting challenged, like he said, Google is challenged by ChatGPT, and maybe Microsoft operating system was challenged by Android in all the mobile devices, right? So everybody gets challenged at some point of time. But some of these brands, what I said, they had a very long run of dominance, right? So other than innovation, what we spoke about, which comes as an important factor for creating a dominating business, in your opinion, is there any other factor which creates this level of dominance so that you can lead the whole industry?
Can I talk?
Yeah, please.
Here the people officer talking. I think the competitive edge comes also from talent. What organization possess. Your product can be copied, your process can be learned, but the way you build culture and the way you build your talent or choose your talent is very difficult to replicate by another organization. And sustaining that for years, 100 years, 150 years is not easy. being from an institute like yours, you would appreciate that. Uh, that creates a competitive edge, and being futuristic, creating a future of work by creating a mindset, using the right technology brings in that monopoly. That's what I believe.
So you gave an interesting example, correct? Microsoft was on PCs, and this all smartphone happened to all of us. They wanted to be also on a smartphone. You remember, I think we had some Windows phone in earlier days. But it's always the case of knowing the market and having a first mover advantage. When Google was still it's there, and it was trying to figure it out where they need to get in, and that was they figured it out. Android is the space, or a mobile device is a space that if they do something as a first mover, they will have an extreme advantage because Apple is not open, and unless we create something open for everybody else than Apple, correct? That's how this whole Android monopoly has happened. So I always think that from MBA students' perspective as well, when they think of a business case, think of a first mover advantage. In a geo case, again, if there is something happening, I remember the days when incoming call used to be charged, correct? Reliance was the first to come and say, no, it's free. Change the game by challenging the monopoly and those, I would say, the basic rules defined in a way that those rules are no more the part of the game.
So another factor I can think of is scale. You can look at scale as a monopolistic model. You can look at an alternate mechanism to deliver goods or services, which could create a monopoly for you. I mean, Indian IT is a great example.
Scale, you are referring to ability to fund capex.
It could be capex, it could be a market expansion, it could be
like, say, Microsoft launching Teams and almost killing the great growth that Zoom was having. Right? Everyone thought Zoom was the Skype was there, Zoom was there. COVID came, and then suddenly Microsoft Teams took off. No one saw that happening.
COVID times.
Which wasn't first mover advantage.
I disagree that first mover advantage
No, I said
is
two
an
things:
advantage
first mover
always.
advantage and killing the rules. So what they did, they utilized their ability on Windows, which was everywhere, correct, and created a product which is easy to adopt. Correct? It's my platform, it's my everything. I'm just giving you one more product. Correct? So though it was not a first mover, it was killing the rules of Zoom.
Absolutely. In fact, Reliance and Tata are very popular for this. They will observe trends, they will see how big a new market is growing, and then they will enter in their own way. Like Zudio is a great example. They saw the trend with fast fashion.
Example which he gave, correct? I think again from a MBA student perspective, this whole Ramdev Baba thing, what happened to all of us in the Ayurvedic industry, correct? He came up with the scale. There were many Ayurvedic products in many local markets, correct? He came up with a scale to this country and said everywhere there is an Ayurveda, everywhere from toothpaste to everywhere, correct? So that scale.
It was not a scale game, it was a branding game.
Don't know, but he was able to get the scale behind the brand. It was not, it was working. Branding is the marketing, what he did for this scale. If the branding would have not helped, if the scale was not there.
Model that I've seen in the business, a lot of companies do that.
To make the entry barriers so high through protection of knowledge or IP, and you become monopolistic. So there are like product companies in, let's say, in healthcare.
See that
Do not
barrier,
allow people to.
creating that barrier itself is the game what is played by the dominating player, no? He changes the pricing, he changes the expectation of the customer, and he changes what makes it a scale. So everything he defines it now, right? So for example, if you wanted to enter into the market by making a good business for voice, there is nothing left. And if you wanted to make money by selling data, nothing left. If you wanted to start something in rural, nothing left. So he has closed everything of it, right? And now the terms are not decided from the industry, it is decided by the dominating player.
So, Prof, the example I was giving was slightly different. It is not just about scale. There are companies in US who have created a closed ecosystem. They will refuse interoperability. You cannot connect to their system. They will, even if you take their documentation, they have gone behind one of the big SIs, they filed a case for IP infringement because they looked at the documentation and created something similar. Now, what they're doing is they're creating a closed ecosystem. That's their monopolistic determination.
Yeah, Apple has that. So once you are into Apple ecosystem, it makes very difficult for you to make an exit. So therefore, one factor is, as we discussed, innovation. Next you said scale, and third one is controlling the exit, right? Don't allow them to exit from the ecosystem.
Become a monopolistic or a significant player. In addition to all this one vision of the business guys who are leading that one, other important aspect is how speed of execution. Because if they don't, like if I take a geo example, since we're talking like they executed very at a scale like nobody could do that one. It was pace with and flawless, a good execution, I would say, to capture the market. Okay, same way happened with the Apple, right? From experience point of view, they are executing. That becomes their kind of a closed ecosystem, but they are still giving the experience to every users of iPhone or Apple products, the same seamless experience. So execution also becomes very important for you, any company to become that dominant player and then start defining the industry terms.
Yeah, in fact, when Notebandi happened, there are case studies where Paytm at such a pace deployed agents across the country to make sure every shopkeeper has that machine is UPI ready. So agility to move, even if you're a big player, I think is
So I think both Baba Ramdev and Paytm, both of them seized on opportunities.
Yes.
During the Maggie ban and the Notebandi ban, both of them were able to act very quickly.
Yeah.
But going back to the question, right, I think innovation can be a very broad term. You can have innovation in product features, in delivery model, in pricing structures, so many things, right? But just reflecting on some of the examples that we spoke about today, right? Be it Geo, be it Blinkit, etc. I think what is also quite interesting and what I see as a common factor is identifying what is something that the dominant player can't mimic quickly, right? What Blinkit did, it would take, I wouldn't like to challenge Amazon, but it might take them a lot of months to replicate the exact model that Blinkit did, right? In terms of bundling a lot of features and giving it together. What Microsoft did with Teams, that wouldn't have been something that Zoom might have been able to go ahead and do very quickly unless they go and get acquired, say, by a Google, right? And Google had their own in-house product as well, right? So somehow bundling it in a way that you feel that the dominant player might not be able to get that combination right.
I beg to disagree with you because the people who have been the front runner, they have always questioned the status quo. What Blinkit is doing, or what Amazon is doing, or what Geo is doing, need no, are questioned by bigger players, and then they aspire bigger, and they do a lot of research, of customer experience and people experience, and come out with a very out of the box solution, and that's how the path breaker comes in. And I think one moment only, connecting aspiration with people is very important. Especially the big buyer today are the Gen Z who are earning money and spending money also. We used to earn money, but we won't spend so much. So they're spending money also. So connecting the aspiration with your future customer segment is also very important, and that's how Apple succeeds. People like to own a iPod or a Apple phone compared to any other. So connecting that aspiration and positioning your brand is also important, other than the four factors you said.